All right, what is going on, everyone? Happy Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. So, market is about to open in a little bit. We're doing this a little bit early because I have to cut off just before 10 a.m. Eastern, so 9 a.m. my time. So we'll go for like an hour. So I figured we get like a good hour in, then we'll be good to go. We'll see the market open and all that stuff. So right now, SOS certainly is on watch as probably the high watch of the day. I actually had a swing position in SOS. We'll talk about that quickly here. It's pretty calm, not much, there's no crazy runners right now. SOS, as of right now in the pre-market hours, is the number one gainer. SOS also has amassed 10 million 10 million shares traded so far. So that's significant, at least so far in this pre-market. So that's probably the biggest watch that we're going to be, watching for now. The thing that has been circulating, we can pull this up. Let me see if I can pull it up, actually. Let's go to, I think it was in my downloads. What I found yesterday was a little piece from Reddit that was circulating online. I have it somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I can't find it right now. But I was circulating online. Here it is. Here it is. So here's why the whole SOS stuff is happening right now, potentially. Right? This is being circulated a lot, talking about how SOS has a 20% float that is short. The plan is simple. Tomorrow at 9:30 Eastern, we'll start buying as many shares as we can. So that's why I think it's the biggest watch, because if this actually happens, there was a lot of volume when this started to get circulated, right? So this started to get circulated online, Twitter, Reddit, whatever. And I saw it in some chat rooms and stuff. And now what's happening is, people started to try to get in ahead of time. So the stock ran up about 30% from the time they started to circulate. Okay, cool. But the question is going to be, does anything happen at 9:30 a.m.? 9 a.m. when Robinhood opens, which is coming on up. So we'll see. We need to buy and hold. $15 is going to become our new price floor. So we'll see what happens. This is, potentially, what we're going to be watching. I'll leave it there so we can pull it up later if people have questions on that, but we'll see. How do I set up a tops screener? So what you do is you go to, in the top right of your account, there should be a widget section. And it should be under, let's see, stocks, I believe. No, let's see, general or market. Oh, it's under the market tab. Under market, you can find a widget that says top gainers and top losers. And I literally just plug that in. That's it. And then I overlay most active and then 52-week high and low on there as well as hot stocks. And so I can kind of go between these tabs across that if I'm interested in quickly getting a sense. I like it a lot because it's so easy. I mean, this is how I will look at stuff. You don't even need it sometimes. People are always about have the news scanners and stuff. You can do that. I have access to it through a group that I'm in, so I get it. So, I have the access to the Trade Ideas scanner. It's great if you have it on your own. It could be really cool if you want to be more self-sufficient and you find value in that. Great. But, you don't need that. I personally, the way that I like, if I'm going to day trade something, I like to let it push up, let them do what they want to do, and then let it come back to support. If I like the setup, if I like the news, if I dive into why it's running, I look a little bit deeper. It forces me to take a step back and look at the stock before I'm just, blindly buying it off of, some random news that I'm seeing. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to be, at 9 a.m. Eastern when Robinhood opens. Let's see what happens with SOS. It's sitting here at $5.90 in the pre-market. I had a swing position. My average was actually sub $5. And then what I did was I did the overnight gap kind of move. So I actually didn't sell all of it, but I bought a couple extra 100 shares yesterday at the end of the after hours, and I set the sells for like 6:43, and those hit at 4 a.m. Because it hit 6:49 in the pre-market hours here at like 4:10 a.m., 4:08 a.m. and it hit 6:49. So I set the my sells because I like to sell on the 3s and 7s and stuff because I want to make sure that I actually if I see a resistance, like I'm looking and saying, okay, where's the next levels of resistance here? Because we closed, under 6. If it gets above 6, 625, 650 every quarter is kind of how I psychologically will see it. Okay, so I could set a sell here for 623, and then I could set some sells for like 647 or 643. So I'll set some sells in those ranges, and I set some at 643, and those got hits. Now I'm just riding 300 shares, and if something crazy happens, I'm here for the ride. If not, my average. I've already locked in some gains, so I'm not going to complain, and we'll see what happens. So that's at least my plan for SOS. it's kind of funny because I was watching it yesterday and I was like, man, this thing just got crushed, in the morning hours. And then look what's happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, my average was here like, 490 something. And I was down, pretty nasty, not that bad. I was down pretty, fat on my average. And then all of a sudden, the thing starts pushing up. And the next thing I know, I'm like, okay, I'm green on this thing. Like, what's going on? And so I started digging around, trying to figure out what's going on. One thing to also note too, OCA. I have a lot of, on the left-hand side, I have a lot of positions. Some are in my IRA, some are in my main individual account. So take it with a grain of salt. But also, CGC was in free stocks I got to sell. Maybe I might hold these for a couple of days because, I don't know, we'll see. Cannabis, I feel like that's probably going to get another pop soon at some point. OCA is a SPAC, and it's the SPAC with, I forget who, but I think Gary V's on the board or something like that, if you guys know Gary V. And they're going on Benzinga today at 10:15 Central, so 11:15 Eastern. They're going on Benzinga. I've been buying this thing below $10 as a SPAC play. Like your risk is minimal until the merger here. So okay, I was buying this thing, below 10, and I'm pretty much looking to sell into the spike. So if they come out today and they give any hints, they're talking NFTs. If that's a hot sector right now, they give any hints, this thing spikes to 10.50, or something like that, or $11. I'm taking my profits here, and that's it. That's the play. It certainly could be a much bigger play longer term, but simply it was a short term. I'm playing this spike, and that's it. And it was pretty minimal risk. So that's my plan on OCA. So we'll see that's coming up in a couple hours. So that's why I'm looking to probably sell that today if we get a big enough spike. If not, what's probably going to happen, we'll see. I'll watch the interview, right? I'll watch what happens, and then we'll go from there, right? That's at least my plan on that. So let's see. Good morning from Florida. Good morning here from Austin, Texas. HFC. Yeah, I think things are pretty quiet, so we can take a peek at a bunch of different things. HFC. Let's pull this bad boy up. In the energy space, it looks like it's made a beautiful reversal off of the lows back in November. You got a dividend of 35 cents per share. Okay, it's not terrible. We're holding the 50 SMA, so this is a decent play. I mean, I don't know, I haven't looked much into the company, but we're actually kind of, here's your range, at least for now, right? 50 SMA support, this blue line. Why is it? Oh, I put a horizontal line, not a trend line. 50 SMA support, this blue line. So right now your support's down to like 35.40 or so. So here's kind of a rough range that we have been trading in. And, until we get a breakout of one of these directions, it's going to be potentially continuing this uptrend, kind of bouncing around between, like, let's say, upper 30s and like mid 30s for now. I kind of like it though. You look at the chart history, right? You have range back up to $50. If you go back up to, where it was trading back at the end of 2019, yeah, I mean, you have range to 50 plus. So, and you're paying a dividend too. Let's see, SOS back over 6 now. Okay, this is interesting. 4 minutes until Robinhood opens up. So let's see. This looks like it could be, here's the thing. I kind of got the vibes yesterday that I was like, hey, if this becomes a massive event, like, I want to make sure that I capitalize on this, right? I don't want to just, because I would have probably taken profits, right, from having an average sub $5. The thing goes to 6. Personally, right, I'm from all the stuff I've seen and from my digging, I'm not a huge fan of the management behind SOS. So, and in the past history, but the Hindenburg report aside, it's not like that's weighing down on me. No, I understand that Hindenburg's got its flaws for sure, and they've been the report's been disputed, and we have stuff. But still, I just didn't like the management. So I was like, okay, this thing spikes on, crypto news. Bitcoin looks like it's pushing up. I'll take the trade, but I'll make sure I'll take my profits pretty quick. So I would have probably taken most, if not all, my profits until I saw that thing circulating around. So for those who are just jumping in now, here we go. This SOS, this was pulled up from Reddit yesterday. It's been circulating on social media now. I think it's been seen by a lot of people. So we'll see. This came out yesterday. Midday or something like that, I believe. So this is looking like it's the plan, right? They have a plan of at 9:30 Eastern tomorrow, we'll start buying as many shares as you can get your hands on, and we'll limit sell those shares at or above $100. Whatever. Who cares about the price targets and whatnot? This thing gets a crazy run, right? You're talking about a low float stock. You're not talking about, but we can take a look at what GameStop was. Let's pull this one up. Let's pull up this. I don't know if GameStop has a float of 54 million, and then you look at SOS, the float isn't shown. I actually don't even know. The float is low. Whatever the float is, it's low, and you're talking about a stock that's like $5. So GameStop is a $40 stock. So if there's 50 million shares, whatever it is, available to trade, a $40 stock, okay, cool. Let's say that there's 50 million shares of SOS available to trade, but it's a $5 stock. Well, that, you could buy a lot more shares with your $100, right? Or with your $1,000, whatever you're going in with, if you're someone who's following along, right? With this, I'm not an advocate for it. I'm not advocating like, oh my gosh, do it, because I don't want you to get hurt, because the thing's already up 30% from yesterday. But I am riding shares because I had a swing position anyway. So we will see. Let's see. Yeah, that's why I took some profits, so I'm not going to be stupid on SOS. But if this thing gets nutty, I do want to make sure that I take advantage of some of that for sure. How come we can't sell? Robinhood's hours are from 9 a.m. The pre-market in Robinhood only allows you to access 9 a.m. So the platform we use here, or at least I use, is Webull. You can use other platforms, but Webull allows you the full pre-market and after hours, which starts at 4 a.m. Eastern and goes all the way to 8 p.m. Eastern. So way outside the normal market hours, but all you have to do is just set on your order. You have to make sure you have it set to extended hours. And as long as it's set to extended hours, if it's normal hours, if it's normal hours or extended hours, it's pre-market or after hours, it'll fill the order as long as you have a limit order set for where the stock is trading. Now, it's going to be interesting here now with Robinhood opening up any second to see if we get a reaction on the stock. Do we get a push up, or do we get a sell off, weak hands, paper hands, whatever everyone wants to say? So we'll see. I'm curious to see if we pop over 6 and hold over 6 now. The volume's coming in though. We can see now, look at the volume. If we look at time and sales, the volume is coming in. Yeah, we're back over 6. The volume is certainly coming in. So we'll see how the volume kind of stacks up the next couple minutes, and if we can see a noticeable difference. Let's see. Morning from East Austin. ACTC. ASTC actually is popping up. Let's take a look. You can take a look at ACTC. Yeah, the volume's coming in now on for sure on SOS. ACTC. Let's pull this bad boy up. Okay, so we talked about because I have a line drawn here, so we talked about it a while ago. Kind of that W-shaped recovery. We got resistance at $20. So here we go. For right now, you got $20. I'll draw this horizontal line actually. $20 is your resistance point. So it's got to get over 20, and you have some solid support down around 15. So you're kind of in this range from like 15 to 20. I'd be buying this thing, down towards 15, although it has a gap down towards like 13-ish. So it could come down quite a bit. I'd be buying it down towards 15 and looking to sell into 20 if it breaks out of 20. Obviously, it's great. I don't know enough about the company beyond that, though. Just from looking at literally a technical scale, you're kind of in a range between 15 and 20 for now. Let's see. Also, another thing, I have a lot of stuff, a lot of kind of crap, honestly, that I need to get rid of. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not really super heavy and stuff. OCA is the one that I would like to ideally today probably shed off. We'll see if we get a nice little pop on it, though. SOS, it's up at 602. Lots of volume now, though. Okay, the volume, at least the past couple of minutes, we're talking about 100,000 shares, 90,000 shares right now. So that's pretty substantial. We'll see if this keeps up, though. We're up over 10, almost 11 million shares traded so far in SOS today. So, Oh yeah, and there are a couple of things I wanted to mention too. Was Bitcoin's down? I'll pull up Bitcoin on the bigger screen here. Ethereum is dropped just below. Look at this pretty big sell-off in Ethereum, down below 2,000 now. I think it might just reclaim 2,000 pretty quick. Bitcoin dropped quickly down to 55.6. Now it's popped 1,000 back. I think these are some significant dip opportunities. We'll see if Bitcoin can hold this, relative area of 55, or so. I think, I don't know, everything we're seeing right now going forward, I can't imagine Bitcoin. I mean, I can certainly imagine Bitcoin pulling back down pretty hard, but I think longer term, I can't imagine Bitcoin staying this low for long or dropping below 50K for long. I think, these are, I would be buying these pullbacks. I have Bitcoin from like a 20,000 average or even less. So, I mean, I've been shedding some, and I actually moved where I had some, because I had some in Robinhood that I was like, yeah, I don't want to hold it in Robinhood. So I shed that in Robinhood and I moved it to BlockFi. Is currently where, and you can earn interest on it. So I was like, sure, why not? If I think Bitcoin's going to keep pushing up, at least for the next couple months, this bull market continues for crypto, sure, I'll move it to BlockFi, earn some interest on it, might as well, right? Okay, back to this. SOS, yeah, it's got some VWAP right here at 604 as resistance right now. So we'll see how this holds up. I think we'll see how the 930, the market open does anything to SOS, because it's going to be interesting. Let's see. Anything else that I can notice? AIKI just got news. What is the news here? Oh, they're in the psychedelic space for AIKI. I was in that stock a while back, but it just it popped here pretty nicely. We'll see how that one holds up. It kind of didn't screw me, but when everything sold off, I was in AIKI here looking for it to hold 150 or so. And then, small caps just said, yeah, we're done for going into March. We're going to just chill. And so it pulled back. So now it was at a much better level now. I kind of like it holding one, so it's at a better level now after the news. I'm not going to touch it right now, but if it gets a good volume, I wouldn't be opposed to maybe taking it at some point. CBAT had some kind of battery news yesterday with some potential workings with Tesla on some Tesla-related batteries, I believe. So this got some attention, but then it popped to 690, at 4 a.m. and then has just kind of done nothing since. So this could be an interesting one to see if that, is confirmed, or if we get some more follow-through on that. Outside of that, though, it's honestly pretty bland. The pre-market hours. TMDI is pushing up a little bit. TMDI's got some volume, but the volume on this stock, right, is 1.68 million. ASTC, the next gainer here, the third top gainer, volume is at 3 million. This doesn't look too bad, actually. Holding VWAP pretty nice. So this had recent news. Okay, I can see that. Can draw like a downtrend right here, and if it breaks out of that, I could see it hitting up towards 3, maybe going for more if it gets the volume. And then SOS by far is the biggest volume play. It's got almost 11.5 million shares traded so far. So that's where the volume's at. A lot of that came early in the morning, so it had a little leg up on a lot of these other stocks, but that's where the volume's at. CBAT volume of 1.38 million. Volume is at SOS. I think there's going to be there's some shorts trying to take it down. Who knows? We'll see what happens, but if I was looking for day trade opportunities, we'll see when the market opens, but this is probably where I would be. It's the most volume, for now. But TMDI is still pushing up, and it's taking the number one gainer on the day. So we'll see. Would you rather buy shares or calls? I would buy shares. I'm a shares kind of guy. I always think about that sometimes with a lot of stocks too. I end up just saying, you know what? I look at the options and I go, let me just buy some out of the money options for like 2 months out or something. If I think we're going to get a move in the next month on a stock, and then I'm like, no, well, I'll just buy shares. I can feel a little more comfortable with shares at night because for me, I love taking advantage of the after hours and the pre-market. So if something happens, if I buy shares and I'm like, hey, SOS, like for example, yesterday, right? SOS looks strong at the end of the day. I could just say, okay, let me buy a chunk of shares. I'll set my sells like 10% up from where it is just to lock in some gains. And I can always do that for that 4 a.m. spike. For example, right from the close, I think I bought shares at like $5.95. So I bought at $5.95 and I had a sell at $6.43. That is a 8% gain on those shares, on the shares that I bought. So I'd rather have shares for that potential ability, just for that kind of peace of mind and for me to be able to sleep better at night, to be honest. I can wake up at 4 a.m. and if I need to get out, I can get out, right? But every play is different. I used to be bigger into options when I was like, yeah, I got less money to play with. Let me just play options. And now I'm like, no, like you know what? You get not you get to a point, but you can play. Always people kill it on options, but it's like for me, it's like I have more than enough capability to make large percentage gains on, because I play these penny stocks. So if I can make 20%, 30%, I'll take that on my just my shares. Yeah, options you can do 100+%, crazy numbers, thousands of percents, for sure. But I'm not going to risk a lot of money on that, size wise. AYRO, I actually grabbed some yesterday. I grabbed 200 shares yesterday. Where is my AYRO? And for those of you who are new, I have I trade with an account just about $50,000. So I don't go in more than 10% of on one trade, on one stock. Here's AYRO. I like it. I mean, I was looking at it right here. It was down towards the bottom of where it's been trading as of late. Yeah, could it come down more? Sure. I mean, $5, I'd like to see that obviously be the area to hold up. I have 200 shares for now. If it comes down into the fives, I'll buy probably some more. I do like it though. It's got a similar chart to ELYS. Here's the AYRO chart. Look at ELYS. Similar chart. ELYS is, I think, an unfound gem in the sports betting space. So I had been buying this thing honestly at a bad time, and then I didn't buy. Maybe I bought a little bit more on this dip to get my average down a little bit more. But ELYS is I think going to be a $10 stock at some point when it gets found, as they say. Just needs to get found, get some more attention. I think there's some potential news coming out from DC soon from them, so they get that news. I think it could be big. Penn, I took a day trade yesterday, but I still hold 25 shares of Penn for now. What I did was I literally bought this bottom. So I put this line in here yesterday and saying, hey, $100 holds up as support, I'm buying it. And I was buying it, and then boom, it just reversed beautifully to the end of the day. So I took off like maybe half my shares. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what, why am I going to sell half my shares here at like 105, whatever I sold it at, when I can hold this thing for a bigger reversal? If I look at the daily chart on Penn, I like Penn down here, at $100. I mean, I'll even take it down to like 95 or so. I'll buy more. I'll hold my 25 shares and I'll double that down towards like 95, and I'll play it, for a shorter swing or for a few months swing if I want to. This thing, they have some recent price targets up over like 150. New York legalizing sports betting now. I mean, I like Penn a lot, especially on this dip. I never actually ended up buying in, this whole run, but relative dip now I think is money. At least my take. Dkng, same story. I think Dkng, did it sell off yesterday too? Dkng is nice as well. It was up yesterday, but it's up in the pre-market today. You have a relative pullback. I think this thing is going to $100 at some point very soon. So you can play. I mean, either one I think are both solid. Strategy between getting attention on earnings releases and getting in early before then. So, yeah, I mean, you could do that. I'm not a huge fan of earnings. The way that my strategy is trying to anticipate news. So if I'm watching a stock or if I'm noticing a stock for whatever reason, right? And I'm like, for example, HJLI is a perfect example. Now, you never can tell what the market conditions are going to be like super far out in the future, so who knows? But HJLI was a stock that it spiked off of news. They got news. I was waiting for this news. I unfortunately just, it didn't spike that much, but HJLI is a stock, right, that, okay, cool, it's pulling back down. I'm looking back through their past history. I've traded it before. I knew in the next month, right, they were going to announce news. They said, hey, we have our decision coming in like a month or whatever for whatever was going on. I try to get in before that. Or if a company in a prior press release or filing, it says, hey, we have data coming out at the end of quarter one. Well, guess what? Come mid-quarter one, I'm looking at that stock. Is it down towards support? I'll buy it in towards support. And many times, a lot of these spikes that you get on these penny stocks are because of positive data or because of, something happens, right? So that's what I like to do. That's my strategy. Earnings, I don't mess too much with. I mean, you could certainly play it. It just becomes sometimes like it's like you're guessing one way or the other, and you can certainly do it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. It generally, if I know earnings are coming on a stock that are highly anticipated, I probably will not be in that stock going into the earnings report. But some people do it, and they do it very well. Nasdaq. Let's take a peek at Nasdaq, how it's doing. It did well. I mean, look at what's happening though. The thing just blew up. I mean, the problem I think that happened here potentially could be a problem. Maybe it's not. Maybe potentially over analyzing. But you had this downtrend break, and it was like, okay, instead of just kind of slowly kind of grinding on up and breaking out of the downtrend, it just said, okay, we're going to blow this out of the water and get back to all-time highs. So the Nasdaq isn't at all-time highs, but it's close. S&P, I mean, look at this thing, straight up. So it's like, okay, now we're getting back up towards resistance again for the S&P, and it's like, okay, I think a pullback could happen. Now, what we'd like to see here is we'd like, honestly, to see, look at the 1 hour chart, is we'd like to see, okay, we had a big move up to the upside, great. A pullback is fine, but you'd kind of like to see it, slow down on the movement. If you just see a sharp knife down, and next thing you know, we're right back down under 400, or we're like at 400 today on SPY, it's like, okay, the volatility is still here. And it's like, we need kind of some stability for a lot of stocks to kind of, that have pushed up off of like the recent pops in the market, to kind of build a base. And when you get that base being built, they come back down, they test the prior resistance, that they test those breakout levels, they hold up pretty well, then they start pushing them up. That's a more healthy move. So that's kind of what you want to see generally across the board. That's what I want to see at least. So we'll see if that happens though. SOS is still holding an uptrend, at least for right now, but we'll see if this does, it's in the 590s. We'll see. Up to now, almost 12 million shares traded, but overall though, the volume across the market's pretty weak. Let's go back to Bitcoin and see what it's doing. Yeah, Bitcoin, knifing down, and then it's recovered, quite well. So we will see. Another thing too, what I did is I was in Mara and Riot from last week. They pushed up. Let's pull up these charts. They pushed up a little bit the past couple days, and so I took some profits on some of them. I'm looking at Riot for a bigger move, ideally, as Bitcoin stays elevated. And if Bitcoin goes, I'm anticipating Bitcoin at some point to push all-time highs. Riot just had news today acquiring more miners, I believe, for 2022. So looking out in the distance here for Riot. But Riot, I think, is relatively in a nice spot. We can even probably put in a downtrend line here too. Let's see if I can get one. Okay. Why is it being weird on me? But I think it's in a much better spot than Mara. Okay, whatever. I'll adjust this. Okay. Roughly comes something like this, not perfect, but something like that. And then Mara is breaking out to new highs or recent highs, right? So my next target on Mara is $60. I just trimmed off my position, and because I saw Bitcoin was weak, and if the market's down and Bitcoin's down, that's a double whammy for Mara and Riot to be down. So what I'm going to do is let them come back down, and I'll buy them on the dips if we can get them, if they dip decently. And I'll look for the next Bitcoin run. Maybe it's for the weekend. We'll see. If this going into this weekend, I buy some more. All right, SOS breaking that little trend line right there. So we'll see how this wants to hold up. I think the market open's gonna be interesting for sure if this catches on. This could also just be like a fade throughout the day if it doesn't catch on, or the shorts kind of hold control. Let's see. DSS just launched some news. Solar farms. Okay, cool. I might just see if I can trim this guy. DSS has been a pain. I mean, honestly, it just hasn't done anything. It's been such a slow mover. So like they're trying to drop news, but it's like it doesn't seem like they're getting much attention on their stock as of late. So I got no reason to just, if something's behaving like that, it's like okay, well, what's the need to be in this thing? If I don't need to be in it, why am I gonna, the thing drops news and it gets no volume. I mean, okay, now it's 1,000 shares coming in, okay, but like, I just noticed that it's like a super low volume stock. No one's watching it, which is sometimes good and bad. I mean, maybe this thing ends up breaking out or making a bigger move, but in the meantime, if it gets a little pop, I'm fine just taking something off the table. Let's see. Yeah, I saw that ZOM was added to that S&P medical ETF. Let's pull it up. Let's pull up ZOM. Barcoding, not good. There's just not much volume, but okay, let's see what it's done. Yeah, I didn't like when it fell below 150. So that's resistance now. It's falling again here in the pre-market hours. Personally, I mean, at least from where it was yesterday, down about 4% or so. I don't know. I don't like. It's a speculative play. Number one, I'm not a huge fan of it though, because This stock, I traded it back when it was like 10 cents. You know, here's back what it did last year. This time last year, like literally, like, okay, so what Zom would do, it would spike off of news or pumped, whatever, on social media, who knows, and then it would come back down and drop an offering. And so it would just reset the chart, and I'd be buying this thing post-offering and, you know, selling into the run. Until it did that, until it didn't, and then it just went on this downtrend for like months, and then through October, November, and then finally made a big run. The problem is that I don't actually know how good the Trueformer platform that they have product is, because they sold like one, at least for now. At least that's the last I saw. So just from what I was reading into it, the way that the press releases were stated, the way that the CEO was talking in some of the quotes he was saying, it just sounded to me, I was like, yeah, this doesn't seem like, I mean, they're excited on paper, or it sounds like, it just didn't seem like they had, you know, enough excitement. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not going to hate on the stock. I don't like it up here personally. Because I just, also having the experience, same with like BNGL. Having traded those stocks sub $1, buying them over $1 for me, it's like, I don't know. If I miss out, I miss out, but that's just me. I'm going to get rid of this because I want to make sure that I have a cleaner slate here for CGC. Let's see if we can get, those are just free stocks that I got. So let's see, do I have any other free stocks I can open today? Nothing as of yet. CGC is, I think CGC could end up being decent, but I got 4 shares. So it's like, okay, why am I going to have an extra clutter on my screen if I don't need it? Other than that, anything else interesting? FTFT is pushing up right now. Let's see, is there any news on that? I don't see any as of right now. Okay. This is an interesting one. I have 200 shares down under 6. I like it for now, but I mean, if it does dip down more, I would love this thing, you know, even lower, for the future at least. Has Wheel been acting up? I don't know. It hasn't been acting up really. Sometimes it happens though, and once I update it, or no, usually after I update it and then it's fine. But sometimes it does happen. I mean, I haven't had any issues, at least now. Honestly, the last time I could remember an issue was back when we had that crazy volume during the whole GameStop craziness. Back then, yes, I would be like, you know, well, because there's so much volume on the platform, it's like, you know, you can't get any trades in. They just like freeze everything. Let's see SOS here. It's trying to, I think we're gonna have to see how this open goes. It's holding up quite well, to be honest, and there's not much tension on stuff, so it could be the play. It could be the play of the day. ITP, look at ITP pushing on up. Rail, let's see Rail. This has been a grinder. I liked it a couple weeks ago, or a week or two ago, back for the infrastructure plan. But look at this thing. This is beautiful. It's pushing up to new highs. I mean, or at least recent highs. Where has it got to go in the future? Okay, so we got resistance at $8. Right there, you have an $8 resistance, and then you have, let's see, right back in here, $8.68 to $9. So $8 is the next area to watch. If it can break through $8, I would, you know, this thing probably goes to $8.50 pretty quick, and then we'll see how the volume kind of pushes in. I'm not really gonna. I don't want to buy it up here. If I was paying attention and I had a chance, I mean, I had the chance. If I was paying closer attention, I would buy this thing under 5, but I did not. All right, let's see this. It's been honestly super dry. I feel like there haven't been many opportunities for like playing the top runner day trades wise for the small caps, because there just hasn't been. You know, we need 1 or 2, maybe 3 to ignite the fire again. Maybe April becomes that kind of transition month where we kind of heat back up and things start to heat back up towards the end of the month, end of the month. In small cap land, I don't know. We'll see. It's been kind of just quiet, but I think that we're seeing some signs of bottoming on a lot of stuff. But it's definitely been it's been more of like I would say conservation period, which I know it sucks because a lot of people are like, man, the market's ripping, market's in new highs, SPY's, blowing over 400. How is, nothing that I'm in doing well? Because, sometimes with the small caps, they don't really correlate all the time perfectly with SPY. And usually, at least in the past, in years past, a weak market, a weak large cap, a weak SPY generally, or kind of a choppiness in SPY, you would then see that small caps do better generally. But it seems like that's not how things work. So, I don't know. Let's see. DSS, man, I nothing again. Well, I'm just trimming it down because I had a pretty fat position in it, from a while ago. So the way that it's been handling itself, I can see my money being used better elsewhere. Maybe I'm just impatient. Maybe I'm not, but I don't know. They've tried to drop some news the past couple of days, and news has not caught at all. So could it be getting held down? Maybe, but when I see that, it's like, okay, what's the chance of DSS dropping news again next week? They just dropped like 2 PRs this week. Are they going to do it again next week? If they don't, do I want to be in it? If Bitcoin's pulling back, I don't know, So I just slowly shed some shares. We'll see. A little at a time. Tattooed Chef I have in the long-term account. What I did actually is I had to pay, I'm going to pay taxes. So what I do is I have a different account and I just toss my cash there and either put it into long-term plays or just hold the cash. And most of the time it's hard for me to hold the cash. So I'd rather put a good chunk into something like, for example, Penn that pulled down pretty bad, or Tesla when it pulled back. I bought some more Tesla. I see those, and you can even buy like Apple or buy some dividend stocks as kind of, in a sense, a cash park for some of that money, but I also want to get a return on that money. So yeah, I run the risk of, okay, if the market crashes and I have to pay taxes, then I lose. But I knew my tax bill and I was fine, so I didn't have to worry. Like, okay, if the market crashes, I can still pay my taxes, it's fine. But I trimmed it down. So I trimmed the long-term portfolio down to a couple core position sizes, a couple core positions. And Tesla's one of them. Tattooed Chef is one of them. What's another one? I bought VISL. I don't have much. It's in the IRA. So I think I trimmed it out of there. Those are a couple of the key ones that at least I have in there. Some larger. I still have FSR. I just can't sell. Unfortunately, I had those covered calls that I had been selling up over like $30. Unfortunately, they never hit. And why I say unfortunately is because there was a chance I had, beginning of March, to sell my FSR, up over $30, which would have been like over a 3x from my average, right? Or around a 3x from my average. And I didn't. I've been selling covered calls. So my cost basis now is probably down to like $5 on FSR. And you think, okay, how is that possible? FSR never went to 5. Well, because the selling the calls, the premiums got very juicy and they got very nice back when FSR was pushing up over $30. And I was selling like $33 or $35 calls or $32 calls or something like that. And it like just missed taking me out, So it worked out. But now FSR is in a really good spot, I think. Like look where it's sitting right now. I'll take. If anything, I'd buy more. So I'm like, I can't sell it now. I kind of want to buy some like VISL or something like that, or buy like some more Tesla or buy Penn or something like that on these dips. But FSR in the same way is on a relative dip, so I can't sell it now. And I'll just keep selling my covered calls. I would like to wait for. I think I sold one yesterday actually on when FSR was pushing up over like 1650. I sold a covered call. I didn't. I tried to, and then it didn't fill. So I missed it. What are you gonna do? Let's see. I'm just gonna slowly continue to shed my DSS. So let's see. What else do we got? So now we have UTME. This thing went nuts. Look at this thing yesterday. IPO, right? IPO play, and this thing went freaking nuts, hitting up over $55 in the aftermarket hour. So this thing now is pushing up. It seems super thin. This thing is going nuts as the number one gainer right now. And it didn't take much to be the number one gainer. Okay, up 40%. When you start seeing the number one gainers in the pre-market hours up 100%, you see a 200%, that's when you know the small caps are still hot. Or that's when you know the small caps are hot, right? So we're just not seeing that though. This thing is the one that's catching though. UTME is definitely catching. ASTC, look at that. What did I say about ASTC? Okay, well it did dip, but when it broke out of this downtrend, the thing popped up towards 3. So didn't work out perfectly, but it kind of did the little, you know, I'll pull you down below your stop loss. Here's an example of a stop loss hunt. In a sense, okay, market makers know, hey, everybody's got their stop here under like this 275, under this VWAP, this white line. Everyone's stop is sitting here at like 270. Let's pull this thing down below 270. That's why you see this candle come down to like 267. Boom. They pull you out and then they run it right back on up. That's how the manipulation works in a sense. Sometimes, you know, we'll see. CBAT, I think I kind of like this setup overall on the daily chart. Let's let it kind of chill today. Let's see what it does. But even here at 580, I don't think it's a terrible play. If that Tesla news on their battery is remotely accurate or has backing to it, I don't know. I haven't looked deep enough into it, which is why it popped yesterday. This could be a big play. People are like, oh my God, it's going to 10. I don't know if it's going to do that. We'll see. They got to issue like a fresh press release. SOS. What do we have on this thing right here? Why is it pulling this up? Benzinga Pro's top 5 stocks to watch Wednesday. Yeah, so there you go. OCA, this is what I was saying, guys, why Benzinga has a top 5 stocks for Wednesday. So OCA is a SPAC play. Gary V is coming on Benzinga at 11:15 Eastern. He discussed, last time on the show, he discussed his investment in Coin. Oh yeah, Coinbase IPO coming in mid-month, like 14th or 15th or something like that. Thing about Coinbase is that they have some ridiculous numbers. They released their like Q1 like numbers or something like that yesterday or whatever. Some crazy, you know, revenue numbers, some crazy margin, like 40% margins or something like that. Like that's nuts. Thoughts on POTR? I have it in my IRA. So here's at least my chart on it. I like it holding $20. Could it drop below 20? And that's where I'll buy more. Personally, that's my take on it. Below $20, I will buy more PLTR for the long term. It's a spec play, right? You've done your due diligence, right? We kind of understand it. It's a spec play. Market's open now, so we'll take a peek at that. It's somewhat spec, so we'll see how it plays out. But I kind of like where it's sitting here in the low 20s, personally, chart-wise. All right, SOS. What do we got? SOS just dump at the open. Let's see how this plays out here today. It's going to be interesting. Interesting day. Let's change the scanner to now the 1 day. So now we're going to get the market action. Give it a second to update on the right-hand side. But we will see. We will see. I don't know. The Wall Street bets guys, you got to like if we go off of what this was saying, this thing 9:30 Eastern, you got to buy. So let's see what happens here today. I'm going to give it, some time and just ride whatever I kind of have. So we'll see. Falling, rocking up. We'll see. I think this could be if you were looking for a dip buy, this could be a decent idea. I don't know. I'm not going to touch it because I already have a swing position that I've had intact, so I'm going to let it go. And 550 seems like it could be the area to watch. Why 550? Roughly was an area down here in the pre-market hours at like 435. It dropped down to 557. It fell here to 557 again, or 560 so far today. Now it's bouncing a little bit. So we'll see if we can zoom in on it. What's it going to do? Lately, it's also been you've been noticing too that what happens here at the open is if you get a stock that spikes up at the open, many times very soon after it pulls back pretty hard, and the stocks that dump at the open many times will recover quite well. So that's at least lately what I've been noticing. So SOS so far from that 560 now is up 15 cents. So there's an example so far. It's recovering quite well. We'll see if it can go. What you need though for SOS is you need this thing to get back up. Now look at this. It's pushing back up. It has to get above 6. Back above 6 and the eyes get back on this thing. Look at this. As I'm saying it, it's pushing to 6. Look at that. Oh my gosh. It's at 6. It's got resistance at 6. 604 is the next level to watch. So it gets over those levels. Watch out on this thing. This thing can get interesting. And it's got tons of volume, okay? 45 million shares traded so far in SOS. If we go to the active stocks, it is by far the number one traded stock today. Not even close. So it's got the volume. You know, it's at 602. Look at this. 603. And sometimes with these types of stocks, at least what you're noticing it with the whole Reddit stuff, support resistance, it matters, but like sometimes what you notice with when GME was going nuts, it didn't matter. It was just rocket fest. So we'll see. UTME just got halted. Look at that. Yeah, I think it's been kind of crazy. It may go on a halt fest again. But again, another thing to watch too. This stock gets halted. Okay, what do? Where do the traders go? Well, let's look at number 2. Let's go to the number 2 gainer, the next best volume player, SOS right now. So maybe that gets more volume. So you always got to kind of notice sometimes the halts and how that stuff plays out. Let's see. XL Fleet is pushing up. XL Fleet reminds me of RMO from yesterday. XL Fleet does remind me of breaking out of this downtrend right here. So XL Fleet, I wouldn't be surprised if XL Fleet pushes to $10. What I would probably do if I was gonna take a day trade on something, I would let XL Fleet come back down. It's just gonna be a slightly slower mover. Let it come back down and build some support here. Maybe this could be a decent dip buy. We'll see. But the first few minutes of the market open, I just tend to stay away because it's super volatile, choppy. Build some solid support. We get some solid support, and we can go from there, and see how that plays out. DSS, man, come on, so lame. But it's trying to hold up in the 350 area, so I'm gonna give it some time. All right, SOS 608 hit 608 and pulled back, so super volatile though. I mean, look at these candles; these are massive candles. I mean, if we just look at what it did, literally, if we just take a peek at the range, okay, on this 1 minute candle, you had a 6% range. So if you are someone who doesn't like that volatility, just watch. or play small on a dip. Let's see. So the market, SPY is slightly green, Dow is slightly green, and Nasdaq is red by just over 0.25%. Bitcoin is at 56.6, and this could be a decent dip op for Bitcoin. We'll see if it holds up, but this could be a decent dip opportunity, I think, for Bitcoin at least. We'll see. But SOS is going to be nuts. We're at 56 million shares traded now on SOS. The average vol, let's look at the past couple of days, what it's averaging. Yesterday, 36 million shares. We go back here on the 30th, 99 million shares. We have 325 million shares on the 3rd. So we'll see if we can make some of that. I mean, we look like we're on pace for something crazy like that. I mean, if this thing gets nuts, it's got to get back up to the number 1 gainer. It's got to be holding over 6. It holds over 6. I think there'll be a lot more attention from the day trade side of things. I think a lot of day traders are somewhat concerned or scared of playing this one, just because it's up a lot off of like no news, off of a potential short squeeze attempt from Reddit, from Wall Street Bets, which we know the potential that has, yes, but I think you get this thing back up over 6 and it starts holding over 6, you'll get the day traders who are looking for the momentum, right? The momentum traders, you'll get them a lot more interested, and then the volume may continue to keep pouring in. So we'll see. PLTR news of Tesla. Is this let's pull this bad boy up. What is this? Pulling back a little bit. I think PLTR is a decent. I mean, I'm stacking it away in the IRA. So we'll see what happens. Give it a couple of years, and we'll have to look back on if that was a good play. We'll see. SOS mining Ethereum. Yes. They are, I believe. And they also are getting more miners in or shipped in supposedly by the middle of this month. So that's another one as well. That's another thing to watch as well. That was kind of the idea of my trade too. My swing was, okay, I'll swing this guy into the SOS. I mean, like the thing is it's at my resistance level. So, I mean, it's got to pop through. But I was kind of thinking, okay, I'll swing this thing into, the potential news of them getting those miners. And if crypto stays hot, Ethereum stays hot, it should do well. Didn't think it would do what it did yesterday, or in the after hours yesterday. But sometimes sometimes stocks run for a different reason than why you had it, and you just say, you know what, it worked out. Yeah, unfortunately with HJLI, it could they drop some more news? Could it go again? Yes. Could it spike again if small caps heat up? I think it's certainly a stock to keep in mind. But the problem is that it had that spike, and the market hasn't been super hot for these stocks. So it spikes up here, hits $8 or just shy of $8. Yeah, now it's right back down. So unfortunately, is what it is. It's still in a relatively decent spot, but it just may be a while until you get another spike like that. So if small caps heat up, it should hold up and it'll be okay. But if small caps stay weak like they kind of have been, I would be kind of careful and cautious of that one. It could come down, a bit more. So let's see. ISIG, I think it just blew up. That's insane. Let's see other stocks here. UTME, is this unhalted yet? No, it's still halted. IO is another one on the list here. It just went crazy. IO is kind of pushing on up. It's consolidating right here and potentially pushing up. TMDI is dipped down. This one could be an interesting, we'll see. This could be a decent potential dip buy here. It's support down around this 220. Now it's pushing up a little bit. XL Fleet, look at that. It's pushing up. That when we were talking about that dip a few minutes ago, that was a decent dip. Holding VWAP now. So for XL Fleet, I would like to see it pull back if I wanted to take it, but my target would be $10, and we're getting close to $10, and so I wouldn't. Could it pull the same thing as RMO yesterday? Sure. That's what I think of XL Fleet. It reminds me a lot of RMO from yesterday. Romeo Power. SOS is getting interesting here. It's down towards the lows from the day. From that 560 seems to be the low. So we'll see if it can hold up. Mogo, I think, it could be a solid play long term. I was looking at that a couple of days ago. I don't have a position in it, but it could be decent from what I was looking at. And let's see. Where's Mogo sitting? Sitting here at 937 right now. I would like, if it comes back down under 9, that's a better spot for me personally. 50 SMA support here would be at like 827 right now. So it's got some support here down in the low 8s. So if it comes down there, I like it. Let's see how it handles the next couple of days. SOS just plummet. Dropping on off. SGBX had a tweet yesterday that they so I've been doing actually, and my plan, what I'm also going to probably do, SGBX. I am probably going to do sounds ridiculous, a third channel, because what I'm going to do on that one is just only tutorial stuff. What I've noticed too is it kind of sucks. I've noticed that the algorithm is a really just a mess. Not a mess. It's very intriguing what's going on with the algorithm on YouTube. So it's like you post a tutorial style video, like how to trade VWAP, right, or something like that, or candlesticks 101, right? For example, what I did in the past, a couple weeks ago. And then you post like a video, like, I don't know, going over what's happening in the market right now, or like, I don't know, let's say a video I posted yesterday. You kind of have like two different sides, and so it's like, well, what are you posting? And so eventually the algorithm's like, okay, we don't know what you're doing here. Let's not show your videos. So I figured I would just do one channel, like make a video or two a week, or as I see something, tutorial style. And I started to short on Webull yesterday. SGBX, I shorted it, surprisingly enough, just for an intraday test. It was not like I didn't go heavy on this, though. I would just, if the thing spikes up off of a tweet from the company saying, hey, Elon Musk, like we are situated like something like 70 miles away from Austin, like love to hear it, like something like that. And the stock spikes up because Elon was talking about how, Austin needs more housing. And so they were like, oh, let's play into that. And then the stock spikes. I'm like, okay, there's no way this thing holds up. There's no backing here. So I shorted it from like 520 to $5. I could have actually made more. Whatever. I just want to test it out. So something like that is a video I probably would make on that channel. Okay, I had a short stock on Webull, or something like that. Just more tutorial style stuff that I think is useful. People want to know. But it's like you post that alongside, like if I post that today, or tomorrow, it's like, then the next video doesn't get shown because, okay, well, we can't figure out who actually wants to watch this stuff. So it's like, okay, whatever. We'll see. That's the plan, at least. BlackBerry. I don't know enough about BlackBerry. They're changing things up. Let's see. Where is it sitting at? I mean, I've seen a lot of people. They got a little spike here. Maybe I had some news. After the crazy run, it's coming back down to potentially a favorable level. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. Chart-wise, it's bouncing off this 850 and has some potential range for sure based off of what happened the past couple months. But the volume has been much elevated ever since December. Has been super elevated, relatively speaking. Right, you're talking about a lot more shares being traded on a daily basis. Let's see what's going on the. Let's see if we can make it. Let's see if we can take a trade here before the. Let's see if we have any day trade ideas. SOS developing some support here around this upper 540s. See if that holds up. ASTC. What's it doing? ASTC is pulled back quite a bit off of news. This thing is dropping. This could be like, this is the type of stuff. If I'm looking for a day trade that is a more higher probability, it could be a stock like ASTC. Let this thing come down. Let it find support. Maybe it ends up finding support here at like 250. Okay. And we start to see this thing kind of consolidating, rounding itself on up, building a base here. Then, okay, yeah, it's sitting here at 255. Maybe my idea here is that I'm going to put a stop loss, mental stop, under 250, and I'm looking for a target up towards VWAP, which is sitting here at like 270. So maybe I'll sell at like 267. So, you know, that's like the type of trade that I would take on a day trade basis. Even SOS, for example, is kind of setting that up too. Look at SOS, you know, give it some time. It didn't have much time. Maybe it consolidates here around this 550. I'm going to play it to the low of the day. So if it goes below the low of the day, 542, under that, I'm going to cut it. If it, you know, outside of that, I'm looking for this thing to come maybe reclaim VWAP, which is at 575. So I'm looking for like a 25-cent move to the upside with maybe like a 10, 15-cent downside risk. So like that's the type of day trade that I'm looking for. So I let things kind of settle out, let the market open up. And those are the type of more higher probability day trades I will take, although I'm primarily a swinger. I'm a swing trader. So that's where I excel most, right? Personally. Surprisingly, you know, Riot and Mara have been kind of creeping back on up. I guess Nasdaq is kind of pushing back on up. SPY is up. So stuff is up. What I kind of want to see, though, is the markets just kind of stabilize. I would be fine with literally the markets closing even, slightly red or slightly green, the rest of the week. Do that. I think a lot of stocks build a nice base, and then potentially could be setting up for a bigger move to the upside. We'll see. And as we're seeing it, right? Look at SOS. So you want to make sure. I want to get a bunch of candles. Let's give it some time. And you know, when you're talking about a stock that's super volatile, I like to give it some time. So SOS also, I don't think they put out a press release about their offering close, so they didn't do that. That could be a press release opportunity for them too. WWR is one that I have also been liking. Yeah, it's got a similar chart setup to like CBAT. WWR does. Let's take a look at ASTC. I was mentioning that one before a second ago. ASTC. Look what I said. I mean, this one, it wasn't perfect, right? But that 250 ended up becoming a decent support. Now look, it's rounding itself back on up, and maybe it goes up to like this 270. So you could potentially, you know, I was looking at that 255 area as a potential entry point, and a sell at like 267. You may get that happening in a second here. So there you go. Tilray is in a decent zone. I would say too. I have kind of been liking taking a peek at some of these cannabis plays again. Let it come. I mean, it's down towards $20. I kind of want to see it. I'll draw this in. Here's the range that I kind of like it at. If we can get it into this, it's in this range now. So I mean, this is a decent buy range, I think, for Tilray for an eventual pop again at some point. We'll see if it happens though. SOS is playing some games. We'll see. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how to play this one. Not necessarily how to play this one. I mean, I'm not sure what I want to do because I have had my swing. I took some profits yesterday, and we'll see what happens. I guess I'll just hold what I have for now. We'll see. Pen, FTFT, DSS is just chilling. It's even-ish on the day. I'll just kind of take a peek. Comms is sitting under $3. I think is a good buy. Noticing that Riot and Mara are pushing up. Is Bitcoin? Yeah, Bitcoin's pushing up as well. So we'll see. I'm planning on holding Riot and Mara for a lot bigger of a move. I trimmed them down to 25 shares each now that I have. But I'm ideally planning on holding these things. Like, I'm looking for Mara to make a move to like 75. I'm looking for Riot to make it. Honestly, $75 on both is probably reasonable. Riot has been higher, but like $75 on Riot is very doable, I think. And then Mara, I think, hitting new highs. We just need Bitcoin to break to make a new high. We need Bitcoin to push up, right? For Riot and Mara to have that type of move in store. So that's what we're waiting on now on that front. George is just showing off. You guys can see him. He's just passed out on the floor right here. WIMI is in my buy range. Waiting. I honestly was kind of waiting on news on that one too. ELYS 50 SMA right here. We'll see how this holds up today. OCA is that SPAC we were talking about. They're going live on Benzinga today, so I'm watching that one for a pop. I'll make sure that I have some sell set in case it spikes. Let's see. SOS is building a base here. It found some support in this 550 to 540 area. Now it's trying to build its way back on up to VWAP. So we'll see if it can get back up there. So far traded 83 million shares on SOS. APDN popped up. What is this one? What do we got here? APDN. Volume has been coming on in. Interesting. ISIG pull back pretty hard, but it's trying to build some support here. $8. Well, that's IO. IO here. IO came down to VWAP and has been bouncing off of that. XL Fleet. Look at this. This thing is, man. We missed the dip to VWAP right there, down to 950. That was a decent dip. Now it's at 10. I had that would have been my target, $10. But I mean, if we get the same type of run that RMO did, XL Fleet could be a pretty big runner today. Targets on XL. Let's take a look. I mean, this thing, I would say $10 was my first area to watch. Outside of that, maybe $11 next on XL Fleet. A lot of shorts in that one too, I think. So could be a pretty big short cover, going on. Let's see. Just kind of trimming my slow trim on DSS, little bit by little bit. PLM, actually for PLM, for a small cap miner, if you like a small cap miner, I don't think it's in a bad spot right here. Literally $3 it's at support. So risk right here. I mean, I'm giving a little bit more, but I'm playing for a spike. So under 3, I wouldn't want to see. So maybe you can look for $3 to hold up. Cool. And if it holds up, great. Looking for a first target, I'd say up towards 4 would be my look. SOS here. Look at this at 562 now. It's reclaiming, trying to reclaim VWAP up in the 570s. So we'll see. What I gotta do, guys, in like 2 minutes, I gotta cut out because I need to get off the computer. My girlfriend has a call coming up, so she'll be using the room, or at least needs quiet, so I can't be going live. But IDEX is running. We'll see. Let's see. I wonder. I mean, what I'm watching outside of SOS is like probably the biggest watch of the day. I am watching OCA because they're coming on Benzinga at 11:15 Eastern. So watch this one if you want to go on Benzinga they have like a live YouTube show all day. Check them out and watch what happens. They'll be talking about this and watch the stock reaction. I think that's where I'll be kind of focusing today. And I've been in this thing. So if we get a spike, I'm going to take my shares off. That's it. I'll take my shares off and kind of clean up because I had a decent chunk of cash set up in that. So that's it. Outside of that, Bitcoin is potentially, that was your dip opportunity for Bitcoin. So we'll see if this kind of returns and holds on up. I would say that if I had to watch for a full day grinder, I would be watching XL Fleet as more of a safer full day grinder. Potentially watch look back to RMO from yesterday if you want more guidance on what this may do. And then SOS, if the volume stays this high, we got some crazy volume, so we'll see if this holds up. If not, just don't be dumb about it. Don't be going all in on SOS if this thing doesn't hold up. It definitely didn't help that Bitcoin, Ethereum pulled back, this morning, right? So that didn't help. But the volume is there. So if this thing wants to go, the volume is certainly there, and it could certainly go. So it's definitely a stock that I'm giving a little bit of a longer leash to a degree, or I'm going to let that ride and see what happens. Outside of that, guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll be back. If stuff happens, if something crazy happens, maybe I'll go if SOS or something crazy goes nuts this after hours. Maybe I'll go live again tonight or something like that. But usually we go live Wednesday morning for the market open, and we go live Sunday nights. Maybe I'll do some more. Maybe we'll do like a Friday morning. Who knows? I enjoy it. It's fun to kind of just talk things through as time goes on. So thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys in the next video. Stay green. Things are kind of, markets like even. It's like SPY is barely up, Dow barely up, Nasdaq like even. So we're even for today. We'll see how that lasts. Seems like some of the volatility has been slowing down in terms of like crazy spike up, down. So we'll see. Peace, guys. Have a good one.